Right, okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk you through the paint process. There are a couple of different options, and technology in paints has moved on greatly over the last few years. So we'll go through the two different options that you can do, or you can ask your body shop to do. I'm not saying any of these are the right or the wrong way of doing them. I'm just saying this is how I've done it and how I choose to do it and how I've been trained to do it. So let's have a look here. Right, so we're going to start off by what I call the old school way of doing it, and I've been doing this for years, and there's nothing wrong with this, but obviously technologies have come on a bit further. So after you're welding and you've got your bare metal, you'd use an acid etch primer, either an aerosol or 1K, and that's a special primer that's got acid in it, which basically eats into the metal a little bit and adheres properly. Then after that, you go on with your 2-pack or your cellulose primer, which is a really thick primer. You spray it on and then you block that back, ready for top coat, which would just be a direct gloss black, or if you had a metallic car, base coat and clear. That's the way a lot of people still do it, and that's the way it's been done for years. There's nothing wrong with that. I've never had a paint job back because we've had adhesion problems with it. But the newer way of doing it is a little bit better. Okay, here's the way I've done the Celica, and this is how we do the majority of our classic cars. Okay, acid etch primers now in this body shop are a bit of a thing of the past. We use epoxy primers now. Okay, there's a few different types you can try. We've got the Novo for classic car system, which is one of the best you can buy basically. Okay, so you'll start off on a bare metal with the epoxy primer. You've basically got to think of the epoxy a little bit like a spray glue. It's spraying and it's gluing itself to the bare metal, and the rust corrosion preventatives are excellent. Okay, so you'll put the epoxy primer on. If you need to, then you'll do any bodywork, any filling or whatever, and then you'll use a second epoxy primer, which we call an isolator primer, which is a bit thinner, which keeps all your repairs from sinking, stops any paint from sinking in there. And then direct onto that, you'll use your 2-pack black primer. I do usually use a Novo, but today we've got the Octarol out. And then after that's blocked and surfaced and ready for base coat, which is basically black base coat. And then after that, then we'll use the Spectral VHS Clear. The 565 is very fast drying, but it's also a very excellent high gloss premium clear. So that's what we've done with the Celica, and that's what we do with the majority of our classic cars. Okay guys, we're in the booth now and we're getting ready to start the priming process. I'm just going to talk you through what I'm doing and what I've done and where we're going. Okie doke. So first of all, we have, like we spoke about before, we have bodyworked where the new sill pieces have been welded, the new corner pieces and the whole sill. Everything's been bodyworked. Where, I'm going to try and do this with 2 hands. Where this trim piece goes in, let me just hold that there for a sec. It's hard to see, but it fits perfect now. Obviously when all the clips are in and the tape's on. So that's spot on. As we talked about the painting process earlier, what we're going to do is first we're going to lay down just a little bit of epoxy just on any cut throughs, any bare metal bits. There's a little bit down here I found which has been treated and ready to rock and roll, a bit around the other side, and a little bit around the inside of the arches where I rolled in the last video. They've all been seam sealed and whatever. As you can see, go right underneath. It's all ready. This is all good. This is all stone chips, this area here, but we want it as nice on as possible. The primer is a high build primer. We're going to put obviously after the epoxy we're going to put a black high build primer on it, then we can block into that and get it all ready for top coat. Obviously I can't really film the painting process, but we'll go through each stage at a time. All right, here we go. as you can see, the epoxy has laid down really nice. It is quite a thin product, but you've got to think of epoxy, as we spoke about before, more as like a spray glue. So that's going on, and that's isolating, and we're getting ready for the 2-pack primer now. Right, we laid some epoxy down now, and now we're going to lay down the 2-pack black primer, which I'm spraying with my FLG 1.7, and we're using the PPS cups because with these you can spray upside down, which is going to be easier when we get all the way under here. So let's roll. Primer, let's do these top bits. Boom! Okay, that's the first coat of surface of black primer on there. Now remember what I did say to you earlier, that this is a surface of primer, so it is designed to be sanded afterwards and block smooth. So you've got to think of it a bit like a filler primer really. So we're looking just to get it on as thick as possible, and it will be sanded tomorrow, ready for top coat. Let's have a look at these panels up here. These are a bit rough, these, but I just blathered them with a load of primer. You can see here where the, can you see there where the clips go? And there's one there too. You could fill it all, but you don't see them. And if you start putting filler there, when you start to, if you ever have to pull these off again, you're just going to crack. So there we go. So that's all the bits in surface of primer. We're going to be left overnight to cure. I'll turn the booth up a little bit, get a bit of heat in there. As you can see, we're all black in there. That's all ready for seam sealer. And then Gravitex or Raptor tomorrow. As you can see, that's all the filler work done, and we're epoxied and we're primed. And then we're ready like for Stone Garden tomorrow. It looks very nice. I'm very happy. It's not bad when you get a reflection in your primer, is it? Okie doke. Good morning, it's the next day and all the primer is dried and all the repair is done. Boom. So what we're going to do now is we're going to, let me talk you through it. I'll have to turn the booth lights off because they're just too bright in here. Okay, so all this area here is going to have a final blocking before paint. The old school way of doing it used to be with some wet and dry, some 600, but I'm going to guide coat it with some white dust guide coat, block it back with some 320 to get it nice and straight. I don't have to bother with down here. It's all going to be covered, it's all going to be stone chipped anyway. And then I might actually do a bit of old school 600 wet and dry sanding inside these apertures here. Okay, so 600 inside the apertures, 320 block on here, then over with 800 on an orbital, and then it'll be ready for top coat. But before we top coat, then what we'll do is we'll use our sprayable seam sealer all under the arches and all under, can you see this area here, I don't know if you can see here, to match the factory stone chip sprayable seam sealer, whatever you want to call it. Okay, boom. Okay, so there we are. We've blocked all this with some 320 on a nice flat block. Even though it's got quite a curve to this, if you can sand it the right way, you will get it nice and flat. I've obviously blocked the top of the bit that's in view with a sill. You can see here, I haven't gone all the way underneath because it's going to get stone chipped. Let me block a bit more of that off. I'm going to stone chip it to make it look OEM. And so we're going to wet sand inside here now, a bit of 600, and then we're going to go over it with 800 on the orbital, and then we are going to do these panels too. For seam sealer time, and we're going to spray it on. If you look under the arches here, can you see that texture there? We need to recreate that texture to go over the fresh metal which has been welded in there. When it's been welded, like we spoke about before, and I'll keep going over it, it's been epoxy primed, and then it's been 2K primed, and now we're going to use seam sealer, and we're going to use the STP we use for the flow and the flex. The flow's a bit thinner, and they can be run and sprayed through this gun, which is very good because I'll show you now. Sprayable seam sealer, and I'll pause the video, if we knock it in, I'll show you what else it can do. Back again, and what it can do is it can also do this. Perfect. And you get all different attachments, so because a lot of new panels like doors and stuff don't come seam sealed for the factories, so this is what we use. We endorse it, we love the Novo products, and let's get spraying on the car. And there we go, sprayed in. It dries matte, it looks a bit shiny at the moment because it's wet obviously. Blended in. I might give it another coat on top once it's dry just to hide a few more of the wells, but that looks pretty good and pretty factory. Excellent. And let's have a quick look under the floor before I seam seal it up, and it's going to be lost forever. That is all new metal. This is the bottom of the sill here, so you can see where it's been jointed into the floor and the factory finish. So again, epoxy primed, and now we're going to go over it with the seam sealer. Okay, it's a messy job, but it's definitely worth it. Look at that now. I know it's a bit shiny because it's still drying, it'll dry matte, but it's basically, you basically spray rubber onto the inside, and that can be overpainted as well. Excellent finish, durable, protective. You can't ask for more. And here we are underneath. This would be a lot easier if I had a ramp, but not many people have a ramp in a spray booth. So as you can see, that all the new metal is coated. I'm trying to slide under without catching the car and getting this all over my head. And you can see there. And like I say, this can be overpainted. I may even go over it with a stone chip to give it extra protection. But that's spot on, and that'll outlive the car back. You know, one more thing about this product and this gun is how many times do you use seam sealer or some kind of spray adhesive, and you use about a quarter or a tenth of the tube, and then you know the tube's just going to dry out no matter what whether you stick a screw in the top, put tape around it or whatever. With this gun, you shut all the valves off. You shut off the fluid valve, the air valve and the air cap, and I have never yet had one of these go off. It completely seals everything off, so you can leave it 6 months, come back, just open the valves, boom, spray it straight away. What a brilliant product. Brilliant. And finally, the last thing to do before paint now is a bit of stone chip, which is a thick stone guard paint, which is going to go just along the bottom of the sill to help a little bit more from any impact from stones. And then we're going to let that flash off for a bit, and I'm going to hit it with some colour. Okay, it's ready for paint. I've got my WS400, my Iwato at 1.3. We're going to be laying down some black base coat, and then we're going to be using the Spectral 565 clear. As you can see, everything's masked off. Now this is only a local blow-in into the quarter. Really, I should be painting the whole quarter panel to do it properly if you don't want to have any blends, but like I've said, I'm probably going to be painting the whole car in the next 3 or 4 months anyway, so this is just to protect it while it's outside. So let's have a quick look at the masking, and then we'll get on with some base coat. Okay, so I'm going to bring the colour in the lacquer up the pillar here. This is where the front door is, and I'll probably lose it somewhere around here. And then on the rear, there's this vent here, so I'm going to probably blend it up and lose it somewhere in there, and a bit of fade out thinners. I've decided to mask up to that trim, and then I can leave some colour down to here and hopefully get away with blending, and then bring it all up and around there. So Let's rock and roll. Very important to blow everything off and give everything a good tack with a tack cloth, just to get rid of any crap that's left on there. And also, what I do is, when I'm cleaning everything off with panel wipe, I give all the plastic a clean too, because any debris that's on here is going to be, because we've got a cross flow booth, is going to be dragged along all the way along to where the exhaust filters are there. So make sure everything's clean. And I've also got the trim panels here. That's the one for the front wing, lower front wing, and here's the one for the rear quarter. Bodywork and ready to rock and roll. Okay guys, time for clear coats again with the we're using a Spectral 565. I am going to struggle to try and get any footage of me actually painting because I'm doing this all off my phone. I do have a GoPro at home, which so next time I might strap it to my head and give you a full rendition, but I'll try and get a few bits painted for you on camera, but there won't be a lot of footage, but the main one is the end result will be finished. So let's rock and roll and let's get some clear coat on it. First coat of clear on, and the parts are looking very nice, to be honest. Obviously they're only trims, they're never going to be perfect. But when you come down here, this is when you see all the hard work paying off. It just looks really nice. Really nice. Blend it into there. I don't know if we can see underneath. Can we see underneath? You can see I've stone chipped. Well, what's under there now? There's epoxy. Yeah, so there's epoxy. And then there's seam sealer. Oh no, epoxy, then there's 2K primer, then there's seam sealer, then there's stone chip, then there's base coat, and there's lacquer. You know, it's easy to turn around and say, let's just throw a bit of paint on that sill. But this is day 3 now. It's, you know, it's worth it. Look at that under there now. Looks lovely. It's definitely worth it, but a lot of people don't understand what's involved if you want it to look right. Not just with the fabrication side of things and the welding, but then the bodywork and the paint. You think, oh, I'll just paint a couple of sills, but it doesn't work like that. You know, this is my car, so I've been doing this in between doing other jobs, but, you know, and I've only done one sill because only one sill's been welded. To do the 2 sills wouldn't be much more time to prep and paint at all. So, right, let's get the second coat on and then we can go home. Boom! Before we do the second coat, we'll just do the touch test to see if the clear's ready. So I'm going to put my finger on this now. If you get strings, it's not ready. Yeah, I'm getting stringy bits. I don't know, it's hard to see. So, not ready. Another 5-10 minutes. Okay, here we go. That's pretty good, isn't it? Yeah, these bits are done, and down here looks absolutely stunning. We've still got the swage line down there that links into there. So all I need to do now is I've demasked it a bit, pulled the masking back. I'm going to spray a little bit of fade out thinner where I've stopped the lacquer. That blends the new lacquer into the old a bit better, melts it all in. You can see there where it goes from high gloss to like a matte. So I'll spray a bit of fade out thinner on there, and boom, there we go. Very happy. Thank God it's over. Quality. So I've drilled 2 holes, one here and one here, so I can insert this. Can we see it? There it is. We can insert that. And that is to spray cavity wax into all the fresh metal, into all the box section, whatever. So what we do is we attach that to our wax oil gun. We're going to spray it with Dimitrol first, then we're going to spray it with wax oil. And it inserts all the way in. It starts spraying like a fountain in 360 degrees. And while that's spraying, you're slowly pulling it out. And that's coating all the interior metal with cavity wax, basically, rust prevention. And one in this section too. And that's going to go all the way through into there. Yep, and that goes into the sill. And then the rest we can get from either the inside or down the sill. There's these holes here. So what you do is you feed it all the way in and then pull it all out. And there's holes all the way down the sill. So it's just, not that it's going to rust from the inside out or anything, but the more stuff preventative you've got in there, the better really. And there's no point doing all this work and then skimping on this. So once it's all done and it's all waxed, it's all dried up, what I'll do is I'll clean this off. And then I've got some specific bungs to go in there, rubber bungs. So I'll put a little bit of seam sealer in there. Then I'll put the bung in to make it airtight and watertight. And then I'll probably spray a bit more of a spray seam sealer over the bung as well, just to be doubly sure, because I'm probably never going to have to take them out. But if I do, they're always going to be there. I can just pop them out, spray the seam sealer, pop them out, and then re-wax. Okay, so all the clips are in. It's wet outside, so I haven't put trim panel on yet because it's got new tape on it. And then the bungs are in and they've been seam sealed over. Let's see if I can squeeze in and show you. Can you see there? The seam sealer's still wet. So here's the trim piece, ready to go back on the sill for the final time. All painted, all refinished, looking lovely. Bit of texture at the bottom, as you can see, to help deflect any stones and just save the paint, even though you can't see it. And then if we flip it over, you can see I've put all new tape on there. Ground out all the original tape, take it all the way back to the plastic, because otherwise it would be too proud. Here and here. All the clips are original. I managed to save all the female clips that go into the car. And this one here I just pulled off, so I've just glued that back in with some black adhesive. And originally this was the panel that I took off, and all the rust was literally all behind here. It had been trapping water in and muck. It was just full of muck and just dirt and everything. So before I put this back on, I'm going to black wax oil the body where this all clips to. Obviously, except for parts where the tape's going to go. I'll mask them off, I'll wax it, and then when I stick this back on, I know that between here and the body is all protected. Right, boom. Right guys, there we go. That's the end of this episode for today. I hope it's given you a bit of an insight of what's involved in the paint process on any vehicle, especially a classic like this, because this is a classic now. Just one more look at them. Look at these. Oh. Right, so what's next episode? Let me think. Next episode is, well, we may be back in the paint booth again, and we may be painting the wheels. I'll pick a colour for the wheels, won't we? So listen, take it easy. Stay safe out there. Oh yeah, one last thing. Listen, in the paint booth today, obviously I've been crawling around on the floor, so I haven't been wearing a great paint suit. Should be wearing a clean one, but most importantly, I've been wearing my cartridge mask. Whenever I'm painting in there, you should be using an air-fed system, but with all the bells and all the stuff that comes with the air-fed mask, it's just not possible to be lying around on the floor. So safety first. If you're doing any painting at home, make sure you're in a safe environment and you've got all the safety gear, and keep it real. Take it easy. See you later. Bye.